Hello, and welcome to the Social Security Show. I'm your host, Daniel Summers, but I'm not the only host. As a public affairs specialist in the Chicagoland area, I'd like to introduce you to another public affairs specialist in the Chicagoland area. Meet Josephine Mueller, and today we're going to give you an education. Josephine?
Hello, Chicagoland. We are so excited to be with you here today, and we have lots of great information for you. So, like Mr. Summer stated, I'm also a public affairs specialist in this area, and essentially we go out and we inform the community in regards to Social Security's benefits and programs. So that's what we are here to discuss with you today. All things in regards to Social Security. So we're out for a great show today, and we like to show a nice little video on how Social Security is with you throughout the journey. So we're going to go ahead and move over to that, and I'm going to share my screen so that you can see that video.
We are there, day one, with baby names and a gift that lasts a lifetime. We are there as you grow, protecting you and those you love. We are there when you get your first job, helping you to save for the future. We are there when you marry your sweetheart to help secure your new life together. We are there if the unexpected happens, to help you see life from a new perspective. We are there when you start your next chapter to make sure you get off to a great start. And we are there when you lose your soulmate to help make sure you will be all right. We are with you through life's journey. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. Get to know us and see what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Love that video, Josephine. It never gets old, and I'm used to it by now. Today, we're going to explain a few things to you about a very important subject. Actually, two subjects. One of them is identity theft, and the other, we're going to talk about scams today, something that we've all been touched or attempted to have been touched by. So let's just keep moving. But first, Josephine?
Yes, we are going to talk about identity theft and fraud. And we also have this slide up as far as the disclosure. Participation in this presentation does not constitute an endorsement by Social Security or its employees of the organizations and information and products not provided by Social Security Administration. And we're going to touch base on scam awareness.
Oh, wow. You're at home, you're minding your own business, right? Your phone rings, and guess what? Somebody's on the phone, and what are they saying? Well, this is the Social Security Administration. We'd like to get a little information from you. We'd like to discuss blah, blah, blah. Or you're under threat of arrest if you don't give us this information. There's a problem with your Social Security number, recorded voices, all manner of things. It's out there, and guess what? It's a scam. It's fraud. And we'd like you to report it. And there are two options for that. We're going to tell you a little bit more about the details of that, but please take note of this phone number, 800-269-0271 and oig.ssa.gov. And you know what that stands for? The Office of the Inspector General. Why? Because these are criminals. And the Inspector General has partnered with the Social Security Administration to try to shut them down. Onward. I'd like to talk to you about these scams because I've gotten the phone calls. Josie, you've gotten the phone calls. Everyone's gotten the phone calls, and they are not from Social Security. And there are things we want you to know. And for one, we want you to understand the threat. The individuals who are attempting to get your information are not doing it for your own good. Guess what? They're in it to make life easy for them and difficult for you. So therefore, we want to talk to you just a bit about what those threats constitute, because it's a threat to your livelihood, it's a threat to your safety, your Social Security benefits, your bank account, and your credit. So what we want you to do is to exercise caution and be very careful about giving your information out. And please secure your information, because if you don't give it out, but you make it accessible, people can and will take advantage of that. And again, we want you to be protected. Onward. To tell you the truth, something you need to know is we don't just call you out of the blue like that. Social Security knows that we see people more so than any other government agency. You don't usually go to the FBI office or the CIA office or the IRS office unless you have to. But Social Security is a place where people come for information, for new Social Security cards, and so on. But we do contact citizens, but with ongoing business. So getting a call just from out of the blue, that's a red flag to begin with. Also, a lot of the calls involve people who are saying, we're going to stop your benefits, we're going to take you to jail, you're in trouble, and guess what? We don't arrest people, right, Josie? In fact, we have partners with the Office of the Inspector General to try to arrest the people that are doing this, because we don't. We will not tell you ever that there's legal action. We certainly don't get gift cards from people as payment or have you Western Union or wire transfer any type of money. In all of those cases, the calls are fraudulent, and please just hang up and don't give out any of your information. Now, I'd like to know if there are questions about that. Onward. Josephine, do you think that our viewers would have any questions regarding this?
Absolutely. So, I know you mentioned that people call and there's scammers out there. They're asking for information. Do they ask for credit card numbers? Do they ask for gift cards? And, when they're calling me and they're telling me that there's a stop on my Social Security number, is that true? Can they do that? Can they put a stop on my Social Security number? Are they able to access my Social Security information through your system?
If someone calls you, they're not on our system. They can't access your benefits. They can't start them. They can't stop them. They can't offer you more. And all of these things are simply just flat out lies. Social Security will send you a letter. We will contact you in an official means. And most of the time, we don't have a reason to call you to say we're going to stop your benefits. And so we want you to be the best advocate for yourself. Now, that's a great question, Josie, but I've got one for you. I'd like you to ballpark it for me, because when people talk about ID theft and all these phone calls, I personally don't know anyone who's actually given their information. Can you tell me how many people might this situation be touching? How many people have their identity stolen and so on?
Oh, gosh, around the nation, I'd have to say a few million, but I'm pretty sure we have a slide at some point within the presentation that has a much more accurate figure. But I know we, even within SSA, Social Security Administration employees, we receive calls like this all the time. So it has to be millions within the nation.
Well, onward, and we'll find out.
Wow. So the truth about ID theft, 17.6 million identity theft victims in 2014. Now that's in 2014. I'm sure the numbers have grown much more now that we have more services that are being utilized over the phone and things like that. So that is a large number, and that's why it's so important for us to go over this information with you here today. And there was nearly 500,000 complaints to the FTC in 2015. So wow. This is information from, a few years ago, but with the rise in scam calls, the rise in fraudulent activity, I'm sure it has grown, and that's why we want to inform the community of this thing that is happening with the scam artists.
Wow, that's pretty interesting, and those are pretty shocking numbers. I can't imagine what it is now.
Very, very, very shocking. So there are some examples of misuse. And examples of misuse are people open credit cards, scammers, the fraudsters, they're trying to open credit cards based off of your information. They're opening utility accounts, they're applying for tax refunds, they're trying to get a loan, they're applying for employment, and they're trying to get medical care. The impact on individuals that are victims from these crimes is a denial of credit card loans, denial of public benefits, denial of Medicare, harassment by debt collectors, lawsuits, stress and anxiety, embarrassment, and time and expense spent on recovery steps. So there is a website, identitytheft.gov, that can assist an individual if they have been a victim of identity theft and fraud. And when you visit this site, you can tell them what happened, get a recovery plan going, and put a plan into action. Identitytheft.gov gives you help. It helps you report and recover from identity theft. And it's free help, free to get personal recovery plan that walks you through each step. You can create an account, you can get a customized pre-filled letter, and you can return anytime to update your plan and track your progress and get advice about what to do if you're affected by specific data breaches. So this right here is a screenshot of what the site looks like. So there's several things that you can get help with on this site if you are a victim of identity theft and fraud. And this is so important to have your recovery plan, so that way you know how you're going to recover, how to fix the things that these fraudsters and scammers have done. You can correct your Equifax report. And this is an example. So recovering from identity theft is easier with a plan. It's always important to have a plan in place.
Well, I've got a question for you, Josie.
Yes, please.
This sounds a little complicated to me. And I know that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But how do I know whether or not someone has compromised my information? Is that something Social Security tells me, or do I get that information elsewhere?
No, that's not something necessarily we would notify you on, but you can make sure that you keep yourself informed by looking at your information, contacting your credit card bureaus, getting your credit card report, and, checking your earnings record. And we're going to talk about the My Social Security account a little bit later in the presentation, and how you can keep track of your earnings record so you can see if those earnings are correct. They're based off of your true earnings. And then we're also going to talk about the credit card bureaus, how you can get your credit card report. And Mr. Summer, I know you have a great example of how you can contact all three credit card bureaus at different points within the year and get those reports for free. Can you share that with our audience?
That's right. Audience, I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm a very cheap man. And if there is something for free that I can get, and it's exactly the same thing as if I pay for it, I'm not going to see the reason to pay for it. So you mentioned the credit card bureaus. So that's the first stop I'm going to make in this next segment of our presentation. Onward. Well, the credit bureaus, as you know, keep track of you. They use your Social Security number to do so. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way we got into this mess, because originally your Social Security number was used to track your wages, and that's all. Not for medical work records, not for doctors, not for anything else. But the cat is out of the bag, right? And Social Security numbers are now inextricably tied to your credit. And guess what? Before you grant anyone credit, even if I have an honest face, before you trust me, guess what? You'll want to run my credit if I'm going to buy a car or a home. And because those things are important to you, we want to make sure that you're secure in your information so that that's not compromised and it doesn't threaten your ability to do those things in life you want to buy, to have those things. So now, the credit bureaus, There's three of them, and we know about them, don't we? Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Simple. But guess what? You can put freezes on your credit if necessary. And also, I've literally done this so that people can't get my credit information without first contacting me at the number on my credit report. Never mind what they put on the application. That's an important step that we can all take to secure our information and protect ourselves from ID theft. However, let's talk more about how to get something that some people pay for nothing. You know, your information is important to you, and the government has saw fit that you have access to a credit report. Once a year, from annualcreditreport.gov, you can get an Equifax report, an Experian report, and a TransUnion report. But I told you guys I was cheap, right? These reports are often the same or similar. So if someone was trying to access your information or use your credit, looking at any of the three credit reports would give you a clue and alert you as early as possible. So guess what? How do we constantly monitor something if we only get it once a year, though? I've got an idea. Let's just say every 4 months, because there are three credit reports, and 4 times 3 is, Josie?
12. I'm not that great at math, but I got that one.
Good, because I'm even worse at math. So 12 months out of the year, I think it'd be pretty nice if every 4 months I got one of my free credit reports. Because they're similar, why get them all at once? So what if I got my Equifax report in January and then said, April, I get my Experian report for free again. And then 4 months later, I got my TransUnion report. And guess what? The year's up. I can start all over again. In this way, I can check my credit often without even paying for a credit report, because there are many, many services that charge you for your credit information. That's fine. I'm not trying to put anyone out of business. But the fact remains is you can have multiple credit reports from every major credit reporting agency throughout the year without paying. And I like that. And if you were to see something on your credit report that you think is incorrect, tell you what to do next. Onward. You'd call a fraud hotline. And guess what? The fraud hotlines will give you the information that you need to fix the problem, to attack that and seal off your information. We'll start with the Federal Trade Commission. They are very interested in investigating and preventing fraud and protecting your information. So there you go. You definitely want to know that number. And they also have a website. But look, identitytheft.gov is a one-stop resource. And guess what? It will show all types of things that you need to know in case your information is compromised. It's the one-stop shop. So definitely you want to be there. Next, I told you the Federal Trade Commission had a website, and this is a part of it. ftc.gov/ID theft is specific to the prevention tips and free resources that will help you. And of course, sometimes people steal other people's social security numbers, get tax refunds, work under those numbers. Guess what? For tax issues, you have to call or go to the website of irs.gov, and there's a specific link that you can follow. It's here posted on the screen. All right, so the fraud hotline for the Department of Motor Vehicles, right there. ID, driver's license fraud, all taken care of right there, and it's where you ought to be. So why don't we take a look in our next slide at the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center? Well, doesn't look too complicated to me, Josie, because there's a big red button that says file a complaint. And if there's an internet crime or something that you know shouldn't have been happening, guess what? You can be the third party, which someone who understands that there's theft. Say in the case of there's some person who's incapacitated, they're too young, they're a minor child, an elderly individual who might not be as internet savvy as you. Well, guess what? You can help them prevent ID theft, because if we don't stop this, You could be next. Now, many people find this site to be easy to navigate, and I'm one of them. And I don't like anything complicated. So please, even if your information has not been compromised, it won't hurt for you to go there and look around. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is how we at Social Security can help. There's a lot of myths and a lot of misunderstandings about the things we do and the things that we don't do. So I'm going to send you to the right department. Thank you, Josephine. First, outreach and education. It's kind of what we're doing here. We want to tell you how to protect yourself, how to get those credit reports, what you need to do. Hey, my Social Security number and card were stolen. Psst. We can help you with that too, because we can issue a replacement. Also, in some instances, we can issue a new or second Social Security number. I'm going to put an asterisk here that's not on the screen. That is a very rare circumstance. I'm going to go over a little bit about that later, but don't expect that as soon as someone gets their identity stolen, well, let's wipe the slate clean and start over, because there's too much important information tied to that number to just toss it out casually, even if it's been compromised. You can verify the Social Security Administration records. We will sit down and look at them with you. We will provide them to you. And there's a way, and I'm not going to step on any toes here, that Josephine's going to show you how you can do that yourself in a matter of minutes from the comfort of your own home. Also, correcting your earnings record. Suppose some ID thief was using your Social Security number to work. Well, if we're not careful, you could get a huge tax bill at the end of the year for earnings that you didn't even get to spend. Not too fair to me. So you definitely want to know about your earnings record. And again, I'm just going to keep it interesting. Josie is going to show you later how you can look at your earnings record whenever you want. And of course, hotline referrals. Just like we're doing here, we're telling you who to contact and in what situation. Onward. So, as I stated before, I told you that I would tell you a bit more about obtaining a new or second Social Security number. And I gave that an asterisk. If you remember, here's why. Every time you work under your Social Security number, your earnings are posted on a record. You might not like being followed or think that's Big Brother, but guess what? That's how we know how much to pay you when you retire or you become disabled. So if for nothing else, it's very important for us to know. So Social Security can give you credit for all the wages you earned, every dime. But there are situations where people seek to avoid their identity. Somebody with bad credit would be happy to have a new Social Security number, right? Someone who's been involved in a few transgressions of the law, they might seek to get a clean slate. So we don't make this the easiest or simplest or the go-to process. But the things you'd have to prove in the event that we would want to issue a number would be if there's actual misuse on your number, if you've been disadvantaged by someone's actions, if you've tried really hard and we're unable to resolve this, there's got to be verifiable evidence. And look at this. This is when we don't issue a new number. Again, to avoid the law or legal responsibilities. Josephine, if there's a warrant out for you, we're not going to give you a new identity and help you dodge, right? You've got to go to court to commit fraud. Well, wouldn't it be great to just say, you know what, I'll commit fraud under this Social Security number and go back to the other one. We don't want to help you do that because fraud always damages someone else. And that someone else could be you or your family. So to avoid disclosure of a poor credit report, well, I want this new car and I have bad credit. So I'll get a new Social Security number and start fresh. That's not honest. So as you can see, we don't want to help people hide things like bankruptcies, criminal records, poor credit, because that's not the business we're in. Social Security is in the business of making sure that you get credit for your earnings and wages and that we pay you benefits. Onward. So, other things Social Security doesn't do, as much as I'd like to help you, I can't fix your credit record. That's why when you get that scam call that says there's been some fraudulent activity, the robot voices, we don't even monitor your credit record. So how would we know? We don't file the identity theft reports because we're not a witness. We don't really know what happened. You would be coming into our office telling us the unfortunate situation. But filing those reports, you have to do. And we can't act as your advocate because as much as we are on your side and we're championing you and we're there with you throughout life's journey, we're not attorneys. Most of us aren't. I'm certainly not. And we don't do that. Anything we can do, as I described, though, we will. And one of the things we're going to help you do is in our next slide, and that's preventing identity theft. Onward. These are the steps that you take. We're here to help educate you on what we need to do. And one of those things is know and create a personal ID number. Now, I know this is crazy. Every institution, your bank, your university, your school, your utility company, the phone company, all of these people want you to have a personal ID number to access your account. And Josie, it's sometimes maddening because they all say, well, I have a certain number of characters we want you to use. This one needs a special amount of letters and numbers. This one has to have a capital. And it's enough to drive you mad. But when you think about it, the more unique these ID numbers are, the more difficult it becomes for people to steal your identity. Unless you write it down for them, right? If you write it down for them, guess what? They can go ahead and look at your paper and input your PIN number. No security at all. So avoid that. And also, the mother's maiden name is a question that often comes up. Lots of agencies use it. It's still common. But unless you have to, it's not a good go-to. And again, there are lots of agencies, companies, etc. These establishments always say, use the last 4 digits of your SSN. But unless it's required, we strongly recommend that you don't do it. So just remember, onward. When you report ID theft, you need to do the following. Contact your credit bureaus. They're the ones who will be your first line of defense. Ask each creditor to flag your account. We've had people who need to establish passwords, even with Social Security. And guess what? It works. So if you have to establish some password or that you only want to come in person, have them put that on your account. Alert your bank. Pretty important because you don't want somebody draining your bank account. And if there's any unusual activity, the great thing is lots and lots of banks are now offering the texts when you do a transaction. That's not a bad thing. It might annoy some people, but consider it. And also, request a change of PIN and new password because often enough, people use their birthday or something that's pretty simple to figure out so they can remember. But remember, if it's simple, it might be easier to compromise. Onward. What you do right away, though, is you call the companies. If there's been fraud, you want to let them know to minimize your liability because you don't want for people to charge things up on your credit card or your account for 6 months and then go try to untangle it. As soon as you're aware, call the companies, the fraud department, close accounts. I've had to do that, and it's painful for some people. But you know what? I did it as a preventative measure, not because something was stolen. When you notice that something isn't right or someone has accessed it, close or freeze that account. Change your logins, passwords, and PINs, and make sure you contact identitytheft.gov. Again, we can't say this too much. Onward. Now, in some cases, in order to recover from fraud, you have to do certain things. For instance, some people have to file a report with their local police department and provide that information. The Federal Trade Commission theft report is also a good resource that proves that someone has been in your accounts. And you'll need these things: proof of your address, proof that there was a theft, like bills for things you didn't order. Hey, that shipment went to a strange address, and ask for a copy of the police report. Definitely, you want to have that information because it helps you to prove that you were not the person, yet a victim of fraud. Now, we're going to cover what Josie said, that my Social Security account is pretty important stuff. And I know you've all been waiting for the opportunity, and the opportunity time has arrived. So Josephine, if you would please take us forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Summer. That was great information in regards to what we need to do if we are a victim of identity theft and fraud, and how to prevent that from happening to one of us or our family members, any of our loved ones. And, you know, as mentioned earlier on, the My Social Security account is a way for you to keep track of your earnings record, to verify that the earnings on your record are correct and that your wages are the only wages being posted to the earnings record. And to ensure that that is happening, you want to check your earnings record periodically. And how do you do that? Well, you can create a My Social Security account by going to our webpage at socialsecurity.gov/my account. And once you go there, this is the screen that's going to show up for you. You're going to see a page that says, create your personal My Social Security account today. And then you can go ahead and click on create an account. So here are the very, very simple steps on how to do that. So you visit our website, select sign in or create an account, provide some personal information to verify your identity, and then you choose a username and a password. And I know Mr. Summers talked about the username and passwords and how we have so many of them, but it's so important to make sure that we create a username and a password that is difficult for others to access. And, you know, if we do write it down, to make sure we put that information in a very, very, very safe, secure place, so that way no one else has access to our information. So once you create your username and password, you can then select how you would like to receive a one-time security code to create your account. Now, once you create your account, you're going to get a security code each time you go into your account. So even though you have a username and you have a password, every time you log in with that username and password, you will either get a text message or you'll get an email with an additional code, so that way we know that it is you who is accessing that account. So Social Security's webpage, Social Security's My Social Security account is very, very safe and secure. Now, say you are an individual who may not feel so comfortable working online and you would rather contact us for information. Well, you can do that. You can call us at 1-800-772-1213. Right now, our field offices are not taking walk-in traffic. However, we are still open. Our employees are still working. We are working remotely, and we are still answering the public's questions via phone or via online. We're doing business online. So this is the National Social Security Hotline, the 1-800-772-1213. At times, there may be a wait calling this number, because keep in mind, it's the National Social Security Hotline. So you've got people all over the nation calling, and sometimes we're all calling around the same time. So there's a quicker way in how to get in touch with your Social Security representative. I'm going to show you how on this next slide. So you can visit our webpage and you can type in Field Office Locator. And if you go to our web page and you go to Field Office Locator, this is the screen that's going to show up. And it's going to ask for you to enter in your zip code. Once you enter in your zip code and you click locate, you're going to be able to find your local office's field office direct line. You'll find their address, and you'll also be able to find their fax number. So this is a quicker way to get in touch with a representative at your local field office. So please visit our webpage and go to our field office locator to get access to your local field office representative. Now, things are constantly changing at Social Security. And during these times, we do have a COVID-19 update page that you can subscribe to. And you can use your email or your phone number to subscribe. And once you subscribe, you're going to get instant messages anytime there's changes to your field office or with Social Security in general. Anytime there's a change or there's an update, changes in the statuses of the offices, you will get that update right away. So we encourage you to please subscribe to our COVID-19 updates page so that way you can stay well informed. Lots of great information today, Mr. Summer. Do you have anything else to add?
Just one last thing, Josephine, because you know I always get these cards, these letters, and these phone calls. And you know, even though it was addressed to me, because you know my name, right, Mr. Social Security, I'd like to ask you the question that I got on this letter. Now, I had someone who wrote to me, and they said the following: Dear Mr. Social Security, I know that I am not supposed to give out information, but I really thought it was the Social Security Administration. So I already gave information to them that maybe I shouldn't have, and I'm scared. I'm worried that now maybe somebody's going to steal my identity. What steps can I take to make sure that the worst doesn't happen to me?
That is a great question. And in this situation, this person realized it quickly enough to take action right away. So what we would advise an individual in this situation, or encourage an individual in this situation to do, is to contact their credit card, contact it's a number, it's a credit card, your credit card bureau. It's like one number you call that actually gets in touch with all the credit card bureaus, and you can put an alert on your Social Security number, and we can actually find that information on our website. So I'm going to share my screen once again, because I want to show you what our website looks like and how to get to the publications that talk about the credit card bureaus, what to do if you are a victim of identity theft and fraud, because we have lots of information on our website. So I'm going to get to that right now, but that's a great question. And do you have anything to add, anything in addition to add to that, Mr. Summer?
Certainly. You definitely want to think about that fraud alert, because when you put it on one credit report, whether it's the Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, guess what? All are alerted, and that's a good thing, because no matter who pulls your credit report or tries to pull your credit report, you get alerted. So let's not be afraid to make sure that we do what we can. Even when sometimes the cat is out of the bag, as in a situation like this, there are things you can do to still protect yourself. Oh, great info, Josie. And we're getting there now.
Yeah, so I went
this
ahead
is
and
how
put
easy
in
it is?
SSA. Yeah, very easy. You go into your search engine, whatever that search engine may be, you go to SSA.gov. It's going to pull up right away the United States Social Security Administration. Click on that. Make sure when you go to our link, you see that there's that .gov at the end. Anything that has .com or .anything else, it's not our website. We are socialsecurity.gov. You want to make sure you're going to the correct website because there are individuals as well online that pose as Social Security, and they are not. So you want to make sure it's .gov, because then you'll know you're going to the correct site. So you scroll down to publications. We're going to click on here. And we can type in to the search engine within our publications, identity theft. And you're going to see that it's going to pop up. There we go. Identity theft and your Social Security number. You click on the PDF. You can also listen to this in audio. You can also view it in different languages if you'd like. But here we go. Here's the identity theft and Social Security and your Social Security number publication. And so there's lots of information in here, but it'll also give you that number where you call, and you know, it's the FTC, and we did talk about it during the presentation. It's the Federal Trade Commission number that you want to call, and that is 1-877-438-4338 or 187-ID theft, so that you know you could easily remember that number, and you contact them, and then they will assist you in getting an alert on your Social Security number.
And remember, when in doubt, do the smart thing. People call, they're aggressive, and there are 3 words: just hang up. Trust me, Social Security, the real Social Security Administration, doesn't call you to ask, what is your Social Security number? And we're not even offended if you hang up on us, because we know you're trying to protect yourself. If someone's aggressive, Josephine, is that a clue?
Yeah, that is a red flag, a huge red flag. So if somebody's aggressive and they're threatening you, you definitely want to make sure you just hang up. And this is another section within our webpage that gives you a little bit more information in regards to Social Security fraud prevention and reporting. We take fraud seriously, and so should you. And we've got just an abundance of information here, one-stop shop, and it lets you know that generally speaking, fraud involves obtaining something of value through willful misrepresentation. So these fraudsters, they want to obtain valuable information from you, and they're making false statements on claims. They're doing all kinds of things that, just to get your information. And here we have our flyer. It's clearly, in red, just hang up if you get a call like this and somebody's aggressive with you. And, I know we mentioned that many of our representatives within Social Security, we're also getting these calls because we're members of the public as well. And these fraudsters, they're just calling whoever they can call because they want to obtain anyone's information that they can. And I know Mr. Summers has received a call while he's been working on the clock, and he received the call and, came out of nowhere. And I'm going to let him give you a little bit more information on what happened to him that day.
Oh, for sure. At the Social Security Administration, sitting at my Social Security desk, which has a copy of my Social Security degree that I earned from Social Security School, I had people calling me, telling me that I was going to be arrested, that they were the Social Security Administration, there are serious federal crimes being committed, and that I needed to give them my information or I was going to jail. And I put it on speaker because it's unbelievable. Before that and after that, and in fact, Josie, just a few days ago, I got another one of the robotic voices, and we at Social Security don't have those at all. So if you hear that, immediately know we don't send recorded voices to you. And another thing that you want to know, why are they after your information? They'll do all kinds of dastardly things with it. If I'd given that person my information, for instance, they do these type of things. They will change the direct deposit where you're getting your checks, whether Social Security benefits or not, so that they're deposited into their account. You don't want that, right? They will get Medicare services, maybe surgeries for which you may be on the bill and have a debt for something that you didn't even need or want, or you have to straighten out and untangle. They'll get credit cards in your name. You don't want to give them your information. They'll get your tax return. They'll work under your number. So by all means, protect yourself. And the best way you can protect yourself is by securing your information. Don't just leave your Social Security number or card where it is available to anyone. In fact, don't carry the Social Security card with you unless you're going to use it for a specific purpose that day. And second, always protect the number and the card, because you don't need the card if you've got the number to get the service. So remember that. Protect yourself, check your credit regularly, and if something occurs, be proactive. Go to that FTC website. Come contact Social Security and do everything you can to ensure that no one causes you headaches based on a scam call. Joseph?
Absolutely. That's 100% correct. We need to, make sure that we protect our information, every way that we can. And we at Social Security know that, at times we do call you, and at times it is because you have current business with us. However, if you don't feel comfortable because we know this is going around. We know people are trying to scam people out of their information. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody who is asking for information over the phone, claiming to be a Social Security representative, please hang up. If it truly is a representative from Social Security, you're not going to hurt our feelings. You know, we understand, and you can contact us back by using your local field office locator. You look up the office number, the local field office, and wherever you're residing, you look that number up, you call us, you'll know that you're speaking to a true Social Security representative when you call us, because you're the one in control at that point and you're giving us the call. So please, if you feel uncomfortable giving somebody information over the phone that is truly a Social Security representative, you can always, that's your other option, you can always give us a call. But keep in mind that the red flags are, we would never be aggressive, we would never threaten you, we would never ask you for money to increase your benefits or anything like that. Those are red flags. And so we want you to know those red flags so that you don't fall victim to these scams. We are still with you. Go ahead, Mr. Summer.
And the scammers have gotten slick, Josephine. In fact, you can't even believe your eyes, because you can look on your caller ID and see the real Social Security number, but they're not calling from Social Security at all. But you, when you make the phone call, you know the number that you're calling and you know it's really us. The scammers will pretend and they'll give you a different number to call back. Don't use it. Use your own resources and look up the number that you know belongs to Social Security for your local office with our field office locator. And that way, you're not talking to a scammer.
Yes, absolutely. And we are with you still. We are still working. All of your Social Security representatives are working. We're working remotely, but we're still working and we're still here for you. And we want you to know that. So please let your family, your friends, your colleagues know that Social Security is still open. We're still taking applications. We're still answering questions. We are just a phone call away or a click away if you visit us at our website at socialsecurity.gov. Keep in mind, all the information that we provided today is current as of October of 2020. Every so often, Social Security information does change, so you want to keep yourself updated by going to our webpage at socialsecurity.gov so that you are well informed and you're currently informed on all of the programs and benefits Social Security has to offer.
Even through COVID-19, Social Security is with you throughout life's journey. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time. And remember, SSA.gov.